Hi students, welcome back to the English class, and we are going to continue further with chapter 2, Lost Spring, Stories of Stolen Childhood. But before that, let's have a rapid revision to what we have studied yesterday. Now we have studied about a boy named Sahib and his conversation with the author that he belongs to a very poor family and he has left his home from Dhaka, which is in Bangladesh, and now he has settled in Simapuri, a place in Delhi. He is a rag picker. He also wants to study, but due to poverty, he is not able to go to school and he has to do rag picking for the survival of him and his family. Continuing further, my acquaintance with the barefoot rag pickers leads me to Simapuri, a place on the periphery of Delhi, yet miles away from it metaphorically. Now, Sahib takes the author to his place where he lives to Simapuri. As I told before also, that Simapuri, a place on the periphery of Delhi, means it is situated on the outer edge of Delhi, yet it is miles away from Delhi. Those who live here are squatters who came from Bangladesh back in 1971. Now the people, those who live there, they are the squatters. Squatters means those who live without any permission on the wasteland. They have come and settled there, and they have come from Bangladesh back in 1971. Now as we know that in 1971, Bangladesh was separated from Pakistan, and due to riots, these people, they left Dhaka, which is in Bangladesh, and they came and settled in Simapuri, which is in Delhi. Sahib's family is among them. Sahib's family is also among them. Simapuri was then a wilderness. Wilderness means a wasteland. It still is, but it is no longer empty. It's a wasteland, and all the people, they are staying there illegally, but now this place is not empty. In structures of mud with roofs of tin and tarpaulin. So their houses are made up of mud and their roofs are made up of tin and tarpaulin. Devoid of sewage, drainage or running water, live 10,000 rag pickers. So we can compare this place as a slum area, and you all might have seen that there is no facility of toilet, drainage or wastewater facility to go from there. They have lived here for more than 30 years without an identity. They are living there for more than 30 years, no identity, without permission, but with ration cards that get their names on voters list. They have their ration cards that gets their name on voters list and enable them to buy grains, which helps them to buy grains. Food is more important for survival than an identity. For them, identity is not very important, but food is more important for their living. If at the end of the day we can feed our families and go to bed without an aching stomach, we would rather live here than in the fields that gave us no grains. Now, this sentence is said by the group of women in tattered saris. Tattered saris means torn saris, and the fields which they are talking about are the fields of Dhaka, which is in Bangladesh. And they say that if at the end of the day we can feed our families, at least we get food to eat, and go to bed without an aching stomach. We know that our stomach aches when we are hungry. We would rather live here than in the fields that gave us no grains. Means wherever they get food, they stay there. When I ask them why they left their beautiful land of green fields and rivers, this was an answer given by the group of women. Wherever they find food, they pitch their tents that become transit homes. Transit homes means temporary homes. They pitch their houses wherever they get food. Children grow up in them, becoming partners in survival. Now here, the children also have to work along with their parents for their survival. And survival in Simapuri means rag picking. Means they have to do rag picking for the survival. In Simapuri, most of the people they are engaged in rag picking. Through the years, it has acquired the proportion of fine art. Means they have been trained in rag picking. We can say that they have become masters in rag picking. Garbage to them is gold. So now I want to explain here, garbage to them is gold means we can say that rag picking gives them money, and that's why they are able to fill their stomachs. It is their daily bread, and that's why also they have mentioned here garbage to them is a gold, because it gives them daily bread, a roof over their head, at least a house to live, even if it is leaking roof. As we have seen that their houses are made up of mud, and their roofs are also made up of tarpaulin and tin. So we can say that they are not well constructed. For them, this type of houses are also very precious, because at least they have a house to live. I sometimes find a rupee, even a 10 rupee note. Sahib says, his eyes lighting up. When he says about this, brightness is seen in his eyes, and he tells that he finds a rupee or 10 rupee note. Now the author says, when you can find a silver coin in a heap of garbage, you don't stop scrounging, for there is a hope of finding more. So she tells that when you get 1 rupee or 10 rupee note, you still start searching for some more money in the garbage, for there is a hope of finding more. Means I feels that if I have got this 1 rupee or 10 rupee note, if I'll search more, I may get some more money. It seems that for children, garbage has a meaning different from what it means to their parents. Now garbage here for children and for parents, it has a two different meaning. For parents, it is a means of survival, and for children, it is like a treasure hunt. One winter morning, I see Sahib standing by the fenced gate of the neighborhood club, watching two young men dressed in white playing tennis. These two men were playing tennis, and Sahib was watching them. I like the game, he hums, content to watch it standing behind the fence. He likes the game of tennis. I go inside when no one is around. Now he goes inside that place when nobody is there, and the gatekeeper allows him to play there and sit to use the swing also. Sahib too is wearing tennis shoes that look strange over his discolored shirt and shorts. Now Sahib is wearing tennis shoes and that is totally mismatched with his shirt and shorts. Someone gave them to me, he says in the manner of an explanation. The fact that they are discarded shoes of some rich boy. Now these shoes are thrown by one of a rich boy who perhaps refused to wear them because of a hole in one of them. Now there was a hole in one of the shoe. And as we all know that the rich people, here a rich boy, he will not wear that shoe, okay, where there is hole in the shoe. For one who has walked barefoot, now this is specially for Sahib as he has walked barefoot, even shoes with a hole is a dream come true. Now even this shoe which has a hole in it, that is a dream come true for Sahib. Now please note down, the meaning of dream come true means a wish or a dream that has become a reality. But the game he is watching is intently out of his reach. He is interested to play the game of tennis, but nobody will allow him to play as he is a poor boy. This morning Sahib is on his way to the milk booth. In his hand is a steel canister. Now the author sees Sahib that he is walking towards the way of the milk booth, and there is a steel canister in his hand. I now work in a tea stall down the road, and he says that now from today he has started working in a tea stall. He says, pointing in the distance, I am paid 800 rupees and all my meals. 800 rupees is paid to him and even 2 meals a day is given to him. Does he likes the job? Now this is a question asked by author, that whether he likes this job. His face, I see, has lost the carefree look. Now when the author looks at his face, that smile that is totally gone from Sahib's face. The steel canister seems heavier than the plastic bag he would carry so lightly over his shoulder. As we know that Sahib is a rag picker and his job is to collect the rags from the garbage, and that plastic bag is very light in weight, and now this steel canister that is heavier compared to the plastic bag. The bag was his. The canister belongs to the man who owns the tea shop. Now the bag which he used to carry, that was his own, and the canister which he is carrying now, that belongs to the man who owns a tea shop. Sahib is no longer his own master. So the author says that now, since Sahib works at the milk booth, he has to follow the orders and instructions given by the master of that milk booth. And so he is no longer his own master. He cannot work according to his wish.